Hey people, welcome to the Run Tests. It's Kieran here, and in this video brought to you in partnership with Precision Fuel and Hydration, we are going to be talking about the best running belts. Now we consider a good running belt an essential piece of our running kit. Gives you a place to stash your everyday run essentials, everything from keys, phone and travel cards, as well as carrying gels, fuels and hydration, even water bottles on those longer runs and races. Now we've tested dozens of the latest and best belts for comfort, durability, and used this resealable whopper of a 90-gram carb pouch to rate the capacity and show you just how much fuel you can squeeze in too. But before we get into the belts, the team at Precision Fuel and Hydration have helped us put together a handy guide to tell you how much fuel you need to be putting in your belt to cover everything from a 10k up to an ultra marathon. Well, for a 10k, if your 10k is going to take you less than an hour and you're well fueled at the start, there's no need to top up your carbs on that run. You should have enough in the tanks to cover you. Once you're into runs longer than 90 minutes, let's say 2 to 3 hours and beyond, that'll be a half marathon for some of us and a full marathon for all of us, definitely covering off ultras. You'll want to aim for at least 30 grams of carbs per hour. That's the lower end of what you'd want to take in. For many runners, that will rise to between 30 and 60 grams per hour. And some elites may even look to eat 90 grams per hour, but that kind of high-end intake takes some gut training. If you want to get really personal, head over to Precision Fuel and Hydration and tap your vitals into their quick carb calculator for a more dialed-in read on your own unique fueling needs. So that's a quick guide to how much fuel you need to carry. Now on to the best belts, our top picks for helping you carry it with you.
So my first choice of belt is the Fitletic Ultimate 2 running belt. Now this running belt is a beast. I actually picked this up, an early version of this, about 6 years ago. I was at work and I needed to run home, but I needed something to carry a load of stuff in because I didn't have a backpack with me. So I picked this up from a shop, a running shop near work, and I used it constantly for about 4 years. I've absolutely loved this belt. It's designed for longer distance running. It's really designed for holding a lot of gels as well as a lot of other bits and pieces as well. So it's got a lot of storage, isn't it? The main compartment is massive. It can hold a Google Pixel 5 really easily, but it's also quite stretchy. It's got this stretchy neoprene material, so you can put a lot of other stuff in it as well, and it just packs in, and it can get a little bit bigger with that as well. It also has a separate neoprene compartment at the side, which is a lot smaller, and you can use it for essentials that you need to take out quickly because it's got this Velcro strap that you just open and pull stuff out. I don't tend to use it that much, but when I do use it, it tends to be for like keys or something like that because it is very secure even without a zip. It has multiple loops on it, so you can sort of design the gels you carry in any way you want really. So you can slip them from top to bottom or from left to right and cross them over as well. So you can probably get about 9 or 10 gels in this, as well as using the main compartment for a bit of extra. So it can hold a lot of gels. It's really, really good if you're doing a long distance run and you want to hold a lot of fuel. It also has a really nice little clip, so you can put your keys on it or put other essentials that you need to have really easily available without having them fall off. It straps up really nicely. It's got a really tight strapping mechanism to it. So I actually tend to use it. I've got a 30-inch waist at the moment, and I tend to strap it all the way. But it does come very loose. So it's a good option for anyone, really. It's a bit of a one-size-fits-all. And yeah, as well as that, it's very thick and hard-wearing. The one that I had previously lasted me about 4 years. And the thing that broke on it was the zip. The rest of it was pretty much identical to when I got it. This one's about a year old now, and it's like new, and I do use it quite a lot. So I would say that this is a great belt if you are looking for something that would hold a lot of stuff and is going to last a long time. This comes in at £25 in the UK, which is an absolute bargain. Oh, and there's also bib holders as well. So if you want to put your running bib on it when you're out racing, you can use those to do that.
Next up, we've got the North Face Flight Ready Race Belt. Now, this one really, it's perhaps designed a little bit more kind of racing ultras or longer distances, but it can double as a kind of regular everyday running belt too. But there's some key features to this which make it more applicable to going long. The first thing is that on the back here, you've got these kind of toggles and a silicone coated webbing at the back, which lets you tighten in and stash your trekking poles. So this, you can pop your poles on your back where they're easy to get to when you're kind of moving between needing to use running poles going uphill and downhill, keeps them nice and secure, but they don't have to be reaching around to try and find them or take your backpack off and stash them away. So that is a useful thing if you're going ultra, and I've found that they do hold nice and kind of firm in place if you're using that. The other thing that you've got here is room with this belt to stash a 500ml soft flask, or up to 500ml. Again, really good if you want to add hydration but don't really want to carry a running vest. So when it comes to storage, then you've got one decent sized main zippered compartment that'll easily swallow the larger smartphones and or lots and lots of gels, whatever else you want to put in there. And then on the sides, each side, you've got two kind of hooded stash pockets that flex really nicely, lightweight fabric, and they kind of flex and stretch. So again, they're not too deep, but so you can't fit a huge amount of kind of gels and fuel in there. But again, a few little items that you might want to have to hand when you're running will be sort of happily accommodated there. And again, that hood, that overlapping hood, just helps keep things nicely in place and stops them falling out, gives you a little bit of extra security. On the back, as I said, you've got this other pouch where you can kind of stash a 500ml soft flask. So for hydration, for beefing up your hydration, if you're not wearing an ultra vest or you don't want to, you want to carry one soft flask. And again, that may be more useful on kind of your shorter runs where you're just looking to carry a little bit of water for security, but you don't want to be running in an ultra vest on a sort of 10-mile training run. And then also you've got these toggles on the front which let you, if you want to, you can attach your race bib number. Again, for ultras, that's quite good when you're going to be, some people put their race bib on their shorts, but if you're going to be taking layers on and off in terms of jackets and tops and jumpers during a day of long running, having your bib number somewhere where it's not going to be in the way is a really useful thing. That's now built into this belt. Yeah, the other thing, this is super lightweight. I think, it has a similar amount of storage maybe as the Flipbelt Zipper, but it's more lightweight. I think it feels a little bit kind of sort of minimal against the body when you're running in it, and something that I really like. The other thing, as I mentioned, I really like the fact that it's got a slightly bigger, longer, kind of easier pull zip, and that zip feels sort of pretty well built to last.
So this is the Kiprun hydration flask carrying running belt, which is a bit of a mouthful. It was originally called, I think, the Kiprun marathon belt, but yeah. Basically, it wants to highlight the fact it can carry hydration flasks, which it can. I've tried loads of the belts in this video and many others, and I'd have to say this is currently my top pick for kind of marathons and long runs, just because it's a really simple design, executed really well. It comes in at £19.99 in the UK or $24.99 in the US. It's a fitted belt without kind of any clasps or anything like that, and it has a series of pockets that run around the outside of the belt. They're kind of separated at the top of the belt there, but actually underneath a lot of them actually interconnect, which can be a problem sometimes if your stuff kind of clumps together, but it hasn't caused any significant problems for me. And there are some pockets on it that are completely separated if you do want to keep things like your phone away from hydration flasks or bottles that might run into it. So in a recent marathon, I used this belt and I carried a 250ml soft flask, two 150ml soft flasks, two gels, and my phone, and it was really comfortable. Carried it the whole way with no bouncing. It's very easy to get stuff in and out of the belt on the run because there's these little string pull tabs on the pockets, and it just works really well as a cheap and easy kind of solution to carrying a lot of stuff on the run. So it is obviously very cheap, and durability might be a slight concern in the future because I do have one little small hole developing there, as you can see, after several months of use, and I've not been using it that intensively, only for very long runs and indeed marathons. But yes, that's something to look out for. I've been putting it through the washing machine on a kind of a sports wash cycle, and that seems to be fine. It does get a lot of sweat on it, so it's nice to be able to wash it, but I do use quite a gentle wash for it. So it's important to get the right size of kind of a comfortable fit with this. There is a size guide on the Decathlon website, but it's not where it's a size guide should be. It's just one of the pictures on the side. If you scroll down, you'll find it there.
So my first pick is the Ultimate Performance Runners Pack. I have worn this running belt for every marathon I've ever run. It's definitely, I would say, more of a racing belt. It's super lightweight. It's got more of a mesh kind of pocket, so it's in no way waterproof, but it's got quite a generous pocket. Sorry, the toggle has fallen off. That's how much I've used this. It's a generous pocket, so you can easily fit, I've got an iPhone 11, easily fits in there with some gels or anything else you might need during the race. One of the reasons I'd say it's great for race day is it has this magnetic fastening that doesn't budge. I sometimes find, clasps can loosen over the race, and you don't want that. You don't want the thing slipping. And it's super easy to adjust, and it's got this huge you know, it's definitely unisex and it would definitely fit, you know, pretty much all sizes of runner, I would say. One of the reasons I love it is that I can wear it kind of almost around my stomach, under where my bib would sit, or I can wear it around my waist. It doesn't really bounce, but I can really pull it tight and it will kind of stay put. Obviously it's not waterproof, so your phone might get a little bit wet. If it's raining, I would recommend putting your phone in a kind of separate pouch. But yeah, fits really comfortable. I've raced with this belt. It doesn't budge, it doesn't move. It's definitely a bit on the worn side now, but it's a really kind of simple, easy, kind of lightweight belt if you're just carrying your phone and a couple of gels.
So first up for me, one of my favourite all-time running belts is this. This is called the Flipbelt Zipper. What you're essentially getting here is quite a thick fabric belt. It stretches and flexes. It comes in sizes from extra small up to extra large, but you're getting one main zippered compartment in the front, which is nice and big. That will easily take one of the larger smartphones. I've got an iPhone 12 Pro, I think, fits in there nice and easily. Zips across the front to keep it nice and secure. And then around the back, you've got one large pocket that you can access from these different points here. Now, the idea with the flip belt initially is that you put your stuff in and then you flip it over and it holds it closer to the body so that it doesn't fall out. I never really find that I actually have to do that flip bit. I can just stash my stuff in these pockets and it stays well put. Now, the good thing about this, I think, is that back pocket, because it's one long pocket, it takes everything. You can put a jacket in there, you can fit numerous gels in there, it kind of flexes the compartment as you wish. You can also sort of hold quite a lot of gear nice and firm to the body without it getting in the way. The other thing I really like about this is you've got that key hook. That's really good if you want to strap in a head torch or your house keys, car keys. The other thing I do, if I've got headphone cases, charging cases that have a hook on them, I'll hook them in there, which is great on long kind of ultra runs where you might be going, you know, sometimes using your headphones, sometimes not. It's quite a thick fabric, so it does have a tendency to be a bit warm, but actually I've used this on kind of 100-mile races and found it to be fine. I don't find you get any bounce from it. It does kind of sit nice against the body. If you put too much in, it can kind of gather up a little bit, but this is something I've used on so many runs to increase the kind of general storage and accessibility of sort of key things. So think about when I'm doing an ultra, I'll move key bits of fuel into a pocket where I can reach them nice and easily. This one comes in at £35 or $39. There is a reflective option, and if you don't care about having that zip compartment, you can also just go for a cheaper standard flip belt.
This is the CamelBak Ultra Belt. It's a fairly pricey belt. It's £45 in the UK or $54.99 in the US. But it's, you know, it's a really comfortable solution for carrying a lot of stuff. Obviously, maybe for some shorter ultras, as the name suggests, or I kind of use it more as a training run belt because it is a very comfy belt that can carry a lot of stuff really easily. So one of the few belts I've tried that can carry a 500ml soft flask, you know, well, like this big pocket on the back takes the bottle easily. Then you can tighten it with these pull cords, and that basically means it's held in place very securely, even a bottle of that size, which is why I tend to use smaller soft flasks in general, because it's hard to get a big bottle to stay in place when you're running with it in a belt. So along with the big back pocket, you get kind of two side pockets, and one of which has a kind of external pocket as well. And then in the front, you have this zippered pouch and another pocket behind that. So it's really good for kind of separating all your stuff out. You know, you can keep your phone and like essentials you want to keep away from sticky gels or bottles in the front there, and let kind of your water bottles sit on the outside of the belt. The mesh is very comfortable next to the skin for kind of hours at a time, I found. And yeah, it really, you can tighten the belt in several places to really make sure you don't get any bounce, despite the fact you really can load this with loads of stuff. I think it's like a 2 litre capacity in total. So it's probably a bit too big and too much storage for me to race in, as I only really go up to a marathon, but it could be a decent option for kind of shorter ultramarathon events where there isn't like a huge mandatory kit list that would require you to have a, you know, backpack to carry all that stuff. And when it comes to kind of keeping it clean, I've been washing this in my washing machine on a kind of sports gear cycle, and it's showing kind of no signs of damage or, you know, disrepair after, you know, I think almost about a year of kind of use, sporadic use, I think it's fair to say.
My second pick is the Fitletic Bolt running belt. Now, this is my favourite running belt of all time. I absolutely love this. When I picked this up, I replaced using the Ultimate 2 running belt just because this was just so much better for daily use. I'd always use that one if I was going long distances and I wanted to carry a lot of fuel in it. But for day-to-day use, this is absolutely fantastic. It has a main compartment, which is enormous. It can hold a Google Pixel 5, but could probably hold a bigger phone than that. And it also holds a lot more as well. So there's a lot of extra space in it, but it still feels very secure. Nothing bobs around when you're running in it. The second compartment is still quite large. Could probably hold a small phone in there, but I used that for keys and credit cards and things like that. It just means it's easier to get to those instead of opening that main compartment and your phone running the risk of falling out. Aside from that, it does have reflective detailing on it. It comes in about, I think there's 4 colourways, and this and the black one are probably the most understated ones, but you can get brighter colours in these ones as well. I think there are other versions, but I don't know if they're available anymore. So I have seen some multicoloured variants, but I'm not sure that you can actually buy those anymore. The material is quite thick, durable material, but not too heavy. The Ultimate 2 is quite a heavy belt. This is actually quite a light belt. So although it's quite durable and hard wearing, it actually feels quite thin and light. The belt itself is really thick and sturdy. I have had running belts before where the belt has been a little bit weak and sort of comes loose when you're running in it, or loosens up a bit, so that when you go out and you tighten it up, by the end of the run it's just a little bit looser. This is just really thick and sturdy. So once you've tied this up to the waist size you want, it just works perfectly, and it never really comes loose or anything like that. So yeah, I'd say this is just a fantastic belt if you want to carry a lot of stuff, but for your daily runs you still want it to be comfortable, not too heavy, but you want that flexibility to be able to carry more if you need to. So yeah, this is Fitletic Bolt running belt is my favourite belt of all time, I'd say.
My second pick is the Lululemon Fast and Free running belt. This is, a little bit more on the expensive side of running belts, but it is made from a similar fabric, it feels like, to the Lululemon leggings, so it's super soft against the skin. I've worn it, without a t-shirt or a layer between this and my skin in the summer, and not had any problems with it kind of rubbing or being super uncomfortable. The design is one kind of bigger pocket, which I'd say when I fit my smartphone in there, which is definitely on the bigger side of phones, that's pretty much all you can get in. But there are these 2 kind of little drop-in pockets here, which suitable for your keys, your lip balm. You're not getting much else in there. There's a clip here for your keys to pop them in, and there's another drop-in pocket here on this side, and there are some kind of reflective details, quite subtle, but the few reflective details, which depending on which way round you have it would be kind of on the front or the back. It's a very kind of traditional clasp fastening. I haven't had massive problems with it kind of loosening or bouncing on the run, and I would say that it is really adjustable. I've worn it, my boyfriend's worn it, neither of us, it can be adjusted to fit most runners, I would say. So yeah, super soft, comfortable. I've only worn it training. I think I'd opt for something that had more capability to hold gels if I was racing, unless I had somewhere else to put my phone, in which case you could put gels in here, but it is kind of it feels like a bit of a tougher zip, and a bit more secure. I think that's built for a phone, not gels, but there isn't a reason you couldn't put gels in there. I just have opted for something that I can unzip quicker during a race, but it's definitely a good option. It's it comes in a few different colours and patterns, I believe, and I've chucked it in the washing machine and it's been fine.
Another belt I've really enjoyed running with, this is the Nathan Fit Adjustable Zipster. It takes a slightly different approach than quite a lot of belts to the way that you wear it. So what you've got here on the back is a hook clip, so that hooks in and actually holds it really nice and tight. When I first started to run with this, I was a bit kind of skeptical about how comfortable that kind of buckle would be against my back and how kind of tight and secure it would be. But actually, you've got this nice and easy to stretch and flex the fit, which is good again if you're kind of layering up. Sometimes I'm wearing jackets and base layers, or I might have thicker shorts on or something, which means I need a little bit more room, or I might have had a big lunch. But that's great. This is definitely a little bit more minimal. The fabric's a little bit more lightweight than something like the Flipbelt Zipper. You've got one main big kind of zippered compartment that will just about squeeze in one of the larger phones. And then on the sides, you've got these kind of hooded sort of stash pockets that are nice and stretchy. So you can put quite a few gels in those and they'll accommodate them without too much bounce, and they don't fall out because the hood kind of rolls over and keeps them in place. That's a nice touch actually. You can also put, most things that you'll put in there will stay put. On the back, you've got this kind of rather long kind of strap. That makes it great for finding the perfect size, but you will, if you're smaller, going to have to sort of tuck that belt away somewhere and stop it flapping around, particularly if you're going to use this to beef up storage on ultras where any flapping cables or cords can become very, very frustrating. If I had one kind of complaint, they've gone for one of these weird sort of tiny little zips, which I don't know, I just find those a little bit hard to get hold of. If you've got cold fingers when you're running in the cold, it's just a little bit annoying. I much prefer a bigger, bulkier zip, and I do worry a little bit about the durability of the zip overall. It's not as free-flowing as some, but overall this is a nice lightweight belt that I would tend to use if I wanted to just carry a few things on my shorter run. So keys, phone, maybe an odd gel and a bit of cash. I wouldn't necessarily take this if I was going longer than that, but it's good for those kind of everyday short training runs or commute runs. Last but not least then, we've got the Salomon Sense Pro belt. This is another belt that's kind of designed for going ultra. Obviously it's a bit fatter, you get kind of a bigger kind of waistband feel to this. It's a unisex belt that comes in sizes from extra small to extra large. I'm about a 34 waist I think at the moment, and I've tended to run in this with the large. Now what you're getting from a storage kind of capacity is one big front hooded stretchy kind of stash pocket. That makes for good versatility, but in this you've got this really super minimal lightweight fabric. This thing is very light. It's probably the lightest of all the belts that I've tested. And it's hooded so that it kind of keeps things in place, but it's a huge big front pocket, so you can fit a big smartphone in there. The only problem with this is that it does have a tendency to wobble around in there because it's not held as sort of securely in place. On the sides you've got two stretch mesh pockets. They're not hooded, so you need to make sure things are in there are kind of well they kind of bulk out and kind of hold the space nicely, because they might have a tendency to pop out as well. You've got two of those, one on each side. And then at the back you've got this other really large, again another kind of stash pocket which isn't clipped or hooded, and on the back you've got these cables. So what you can do here is actually put your trekking poles through the back, and you've got toggles to tighten those in place. And there's one clever little feature in a minimal belt. They've actually put a tiny little bit of extra padding in here on the back where this will kind of hit your backbones. So if your poles are on there, you've got a little bit of protection from those poles kind of chafing and causing pressure and unwanted kind of rubbing on your back. That is a very nice touch. As with a lot of Salomon stuff, there's no zips here and there's no clips. It's all very minimal. I think that's there to kind of save weight. And yeah, it does mean that you do have to make sure that you're picking the right kit for the right pockets, and you're not choosing things that might pop out the top, particularly if you're bundling down a really steep descent. You don't want to feel like things are going to be flying out of these open pockets. It's also made to really kind of, it can be worn on its own, but it's also made so that it can connect with some of the other pieces of kit that come in the Salomon range, so that you can attach it, or it works in tandem with some of that other sort of lightweight ultra kit that Salomon does. The other thing I found with this belt, having this kind of broader band as well, provided you get it sitting well on you, it doesn't kind of have a tendency to do that thing where some belts can kind of shrivel up and cut in a little bit. It tends to kind of sort of spread the overall sort of pressure and feeling of wearing this belt a little bit more. Some people might not like having kind of that much kind of expanse of a belt kind of covering them, but I think it actually sort of tends to make things a little bit more comfy than some which can go a bit tighter and cut in. Of all the belts that I've tested, this one also is the most expensive. It comes in at £40 or $49.95 in the US. So there you have it. That's been our guide to the tried and tested best running belts you can buy right now. Don't forget to let us know if we've missed anything. Hit us up in the comments below if there's a belt that you really like, that you think other people who watch the channel should know about. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell so you get notified when the next in our partnership series comes up. And don't forget to head over to Precision Fuel and Hydration. The link is in the caption below this video. Check out their range of fueling and hydration products. Tap your details into the quick carb and quick hydration calculators to help you understand better how you should fuel your runs. We've been the Run Testers. Thank you very much for watching, and we hope to see you again soon.